Hello and welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today is our first step in the adventure of painting.
Yeah.
This is Michael Matthews, for those of you that made fun of me not introducing him last time.
I thought we were going to introduce me as a different name
No,
every time.
no. They don't even know that that's your real name this time. That's the problem. This is at least one of the various names that you have. A man of many names is sitting next to me. He is, for the record, a whiskey, bourbon, scotch expert.
Nah.
At this point, expert.
No, connoisseur.
He knows a lot of stuff. He's got a big collection. So we are going to be talking about what we're drinking as we do this. And this is a very relaxed, us starting to put paint on a canvas type of video. So we're going to hang out, we're going to chat, we're going to get close-up shots of the models that we're painting. We're going to hang out for, whatever duration this video is.
Yeah.
30, 45 minutes or so.
6 hours.
6 hours. We're painting Nemesis. We're painting Nemesis Retaliation, the exclusive prototype models that we have from Awaken Realms. I do have some sponsored gameplay videos coming down the line. This is not a sponsored video. I'm not a good enough painter to justify that.
Me neither.
But before we actually sit down and play this week and record some gameplay videos, I thought it would be fun to add a little bit more color, a little bit more pop to the models that we have. Now, Awaken Realms has their Sundrop models. You can buy models from them that already look this good.
Oh.
Yeah. So, do you need to paint Awaken Realms models? No. But are we going to spruce them up or ruin them? One of the two? Possibly. Let me know right now, down below, are we, one, going to ruin exclusive prototype models, or are we going to actually maybe make them slightly better? For the record, the only reason I'm confident doing this as well is because Awaken Realms, historically, when they've sent us prototypes, hasn't asked for us to ship them on or requested them back. So, some publishers, some very small publishers, will actually use a prototype across multiple content creators.
Oh.
I still have all of the models from Awaken Realms for the past couple of years. I think they're awesome. I want to paint them. I want to put them on a shelf as like exclusive little resin models.
Cool.
But I wouldn't do this with every prototype we get in.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't know where, if that's the only model the publisher
But
has.
they'll let you know.
For sure. Yeah,
okay.
They'll let you know. Okay, and I am going to be drinking, apparently,
You're going to try it.
Basil Hayden's Subtle Smoke.
Subtle
Why'd
Smoke.
you grab this bottle?
Well, you said you like sweet rye.
Yep.
Basil Hayden is a really easy drinking rye. It's traditionally a low proof rye, so it's easy to drink. But you also said you kind of like scotch. And so that's a high rye bourbon with a little bit of smoke in it.
So it's finished in a new charred oak barrel.
Yeah, that's all bourbon is. What do you think?
It's good. It's a little bitter. That smokiness tastes
Well, it
a
could
little
be
bitter
like,
to me.
you also got to remember like whatever you've eaten today or whatever you've
I've
done.
eaten nothing.
Whatever you're smelling.
I smell sweet right now.
Yeah.
He's making some bolognese.
It's going to change based on your environment.
I like it. It's not aggressive at all. It's a little bit bitter than some of the sweeter bourbons that I like. No, I like it. It's very easy to drink. I'm excited to see if it opens up while the ice melts a little bit.
I just like trying to figure out what people's tastes are, because everybody has a different sort of overall taste. And like I said, it's going to change based on what you've been doing, where you're at, what you've been smelling, and all of that stuff. But
it tastes like, the second part of it is like a little yellow. It tastes like amberish in a way.
Okay. Are you synesthetic? Or?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I see. You tell me to tell you what I experience. There's yellow in this bourbon.
Okay.
What are you drinking? Well, I'm
going to try Eagle Rare. I have tried a whole bunch of Sazerac Buffalo Trace products, but I have never tried Eagle Rare. This used to be a really cheap bourbon, easy to get, and for whatever reason, now it's just insanely difficult to get your hands on, which is silly to me. But everybody says it's fantastic, so I'm going to try it. I do like Buffalo Trace, like just their regular Buffalo Trace. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But it's one of my go-tos. Okay, these are very sweet. I think that's why people like Buffalo Trace stuff.
Okay.
That's very mellow.
Mellow?
Oh, because it's 92. It's, okay.
Getting to some painting. So I'm going to start here with our lovely little Awaken Realms cat. It already has a base coat. So this has already been airbrushed. It has a darker shadowy area, a brighter light area. my attempt, what we're going to start doing is thinning our paints enough with a lot of water so that we're just creating a gloss to go over the parts that already have color on them.
Okay.
The hope is that we can get some color in these models without sacrificing the texture and the shadows that already exist there. Because paint by nature is transparent. So any color that you put on will have some degree of transparency to it. The different colors like yellow and blue, for instance, will be much more transparent because of the pigment and how crystalline, I guess, the pigment is.
Okay.
Than some of your other colors. I think reds and greens sometimes cover a lot better than like yellows and blues. I could be wrong about the reds and greens. If we thin our paint enough, we should be able to get a very nice but very transparent base layer that looks even and thin, but still lets all of this shadow shine through. That's what I'm going to attempt to do. Okay. I'm going to start by doing violet, I think, here on the body, on the spacesuit, and then I'm going to do yellow on this helmet. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do this piping yet. I'm gonna figure that out maybe after I have those two done. And then the face and paws, I'm thinking of doing maybe like a white and adding in some little like orange spots or something there to make some detail, make it cute. Right. Again, not supposed to be complicated. This is about getting paint to the palette. I am sure we're going to make mistakes along the way. The whole concept of this video series is high-produced or low-produced, like this one, videos that explore painting with you, all the audience.
Cool.
I had a lot of people telling me I was stupid and no one would watch this, so prove them wrong and put it on the background while you go do something else more important.
I watch miniature painting videos.
Sorry, maybe it was the only stupid people would watch this. That's what it was, I think, possibly. Good. Okay. What are you thinking about doing? And what colors do you want?
I'm thinking about doing probably... This guy looks like he'll be the most fun. He's like the...
Your reference camera is this diagonal one, whereas
guy.
My reference camera is this
Gotcha.
one. So yours is that one right there.
Yeah, so, I'm thinking about doing this tech guy. And I was thinking about following pretty much the box art and just kind of doing like a bluish gray all over and then doing sort of gold highlights on his goggles and maybe some like light blue glow on little elements around him. And then if I'm feeling real brave, maybe try to do some lighting underneath. Like there's a light source coming from underneath, sort of a violet, which is what it shows on the box art. So here's the thing, though, man. I've never tried this before.
You are artistic,
once. Though. Yeah, but not with paint. I'm usually a black and white kind of guy, so we'll see.
Okay. What kind of paints would you like?
Like a dark blue, maybe?
Dark blue, so I've got some blues, some purples. Give them a good shake before you open them up.
Okay.
I've got a blue wash here, too, if you just want to see how that settles in.
Turquoise.
There's a whole, we've got a whole host, so if you want me to just hand you stuff, too, we can, if you're looking for more colors.
Yeah, here. How about we'll just set some over here, and I can
There's a whole
dig
collection.
through them. That way I'm not bothering you the whole time.
So I'm gonna start putting some paint on a palette, because that's what this is all about. I'm going to start by just getting a lot of water down here into this purple, and I want to thin it about as much as I can, because I want that first brush stroke to really be transparent, and this purple seems like a very dark color. So I'm just putting a lot of water and then pulling the pigment out farther and farther away from the source. I can always add more paint. I could also always wipe off paint to some degree.
Yeah.
So anything is possible. And then let's see if we can get a little bit of a color there. So you see, this is, if it's so thin, it's going to start collecting in the crevices and shadows.
Yeah, okay.
And so as I add layers to this, though, that color should stay on the surface and continue building up.
So if I want to do a wash, I want to get like a wider brush, sort of like you've got there.
You can. I mean, I just kind of grabbed some of our smaller brushes because these are pretty small models overall.
Okay.
So some of these long ones, I don't know that I have the perfect brushes for every solution.
Right.
I figured we'd start learning with the audience and
put my old guy glasses on,
seeing where we are. There we are. So on that leg is about the thickness that I think I want, where we start getting a decent bit of color there. So that's not quite as thin as I did it originally. And then we're just adding paint here. So talk about the models that you actually want to get to the point of painting. Because I want to paint all of Kingdom Death. That's the end goal of my adventure into the art of miniature painting.
I want to paint all the Massive Darkness 2 models that I have. And honestly, I've always really wanted to start painting some Warhammer. Like
Oh,
some
yeah?
of the more complicated stuff. I love Warhammer stuff, man. The 40K. I think it's so cool.
Have you played Warhammer?
I have not played the actual physical Warhammer 40K. I never knew anybody that played it.
Okay.
I've played some of the original real-time strategy video games.
I've got one of the Warhammer starter sets. Like, open me up and here's all the paint you need to paint.
Yeah.
Paint by numbers type of Warhammer. That would be a fun video maybe to do, where we just break open a starter pack and see what each of us can create with the same resources and the same models. See what we each come up with.
I'm down.
Warhammer's like your go-to. Like, the entire miniature community becomes obsessed with, if they become obsessed with anything, they become obsessed with Warhammer.
Yeah.
And then they might branch out from that. But that's your standard for cool miniatures that look great on a table, and because they're all crafty and build your own, you wanna have your squad look different from everyone else's. I don't have any experience playing Warhammer myself either.
Oh, really?
No, I've been interested in it. I've played Warhammer adjacent games, so in the lore and theme of Warhammer, but not actually sat down and played the tactical miniature skirmish game. What are you figuring out so far? Because for me, I'm finding that I'm getting a lot of purple in the crevices.
Yeah.
And the top layer, I think, looks good, but it's still maybe a little bit lighter and thinner than I want it to. But we are getting color onto a miniature. So I
can layer these, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
For sure.
I guess I should have asked that before I started just doing like a full wash over the whole thing.
You're just going in and getting a blue tonality
well, because
down?
if you look at the box art, they're mostly blue anyway, so I'm just adding that kind of a grayish blue sort of tone to it, and then I figure I'll go in and start highlighting certain elements.
Do you have experience? You have experience with art and brush and digital art? Mm-hmm. Do you have experience with paint specifically, pigments and colors, and how you mix?
No, and here's what's funny is my mom was actually a really well-known mural artist.
Okay.
And so I would go and watch her paint all the time. She would go paint giant murals in hotels and stuff. And I'd hang out and play while she did that. I never really paid attention. So, I've never really wanted to learn. I guess it always just looked complicated. And then I started getting into color theory and color psychology and stuff, and I was like, all right, I think I could take a stab at this now. So, but yeah, when it comes to physical paint, as far as color goes, no, I've
actually using a brush and
I've done a couple murals myself, but I always did them in black and white and shades of gray.
Yeah.
But it was, it wasn't anything complicated. They were pretty simple. And then I may or may not have gotten into graffiti for a little while.
May or may not have?
Yeah.
There was that video game you loved.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that was how I taught my kid how to spray paint. Was the VR game, King Spray.
And then they went out and, did it on political buildings and stuff like that. So I have my first layer of purple down. I kind of did 2 coats of this very thin purple. I think it's working. I'm getting some paint gathered in the creases and the crevices, so it looks like there's shadows there. I'm going to go back with a little bit of a thicker layer on the butt here as a way to just darken up the areas that I want to feel like they're in shade. Because some of the transparency is coming through, and yet I want a little bit more of that contrast. So I'm just going to go back and get one more layer built up. I think that's a lot of what miniature painting is about, is layer after layer, understanding how transparent certain parts of your model will be, and adding very patiently to all these pieces so that you can build up highlights, you can build up shadows. I think if you're willing to be patient with your models, and you have a little bit of a steady hand, I think it's easier to make models look better with paint than it is to make them look worse. Now, that's not always going to be the case.
You haven't seen finished product yet, though.
It's not always going to be the case, but if you have the core concepts of like very subtle layering, dry brushing, adding some highlights and shadows where highlights and shadows should naturally be,
Yep.
I think you will find that through a little bit of practice, you'll be surprised how nice you can get a model looking without much work.
Yeah. I'd like on some of the forums, people will jump on and show how they painted some of the MD2 models, and some of them are clearly really good at this, and then others, you could tell that maybe this is their first time painting them. But even the first timers,
they got something to them.
It still looks better than just a gray. It's like, even if it doesn't look like it was professionally done, I still think it looks better on the board.
So here's this purple now with that bottom and the underarms having a little bit more added to it. I'm going to go ahead and get this helmet bright in yellow, Quackalope yellow on the top. And then we'll keep adding some details to it.
So was your purple a wash, or?
No, I took it, I thinned it with a lot of water. And then I started by testing with the very thinnest amount of water I could get, and then building up from there. So I got thicker paint where I wanted shadows to go.
Okay.
And it took probably about 3 coats to get it to where there was a good color layer on it.
Okay.
So that was how I did it. There are going to be a lot of people out there that know model painting.
Yeah.
Way more than us.
And they're going to be like, what are you doing?
And part of this video series for me is an opportunity to chat with the audience and find out, tips and tricks that I just don't know. Because there's painters out there that love sharing and love talking and have great experience. And then there's people that think it's silly that I want to do model painting at all, but I think everyone starts at this point. I think any painter that you talk with has a point where they picked up their first model and started messing around with it. Whether they're a hobbyist, whether they're a elite Warhammer painter. I mean, I know a lot of people that are now professional painters that started because they either bought models themselves or their friends thought they knew how to do art and, hired them or asked them to paint their models. And so for me, I'm just documenting that first stage of the process.
I thought about asking somebody to paint mine, but then I was like, dude, stop it.
Yeah.
I enjoy this. I enjoy just sitting and
I find it really peaceful.
Yeah, it's zen. I like that.
Now I am going to continue trying to rattle on because I find it less peaceful if people are watching you paint and you're not
saying or doing anything.
You're not saying or doing anything. That's the thing I haven't figured out is how to make these type of videos entertaining for an audience. What are you guys interested in? Are you interested in us talking about life and getting into theological discussions like we do off camera? We could talk about the Israel-Palestine war. There's plenty of things we could dive into.
Yeah, let's do that. And how about we tackle abortion and racism while we're at it?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. But really, what is it? Is it about us? Is it about life? Is it about, what is it that you all want to listen to while we figure out?
I assume since this is a board game channel, they probably want to hear about board games.
Okay. Let's talk about board games.
That would be my guess.
What did you buy this Black Friday?
Me?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Did you buy a single board game?
No, I don't do Black Friday stuff.
Okay.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because
it's all a scam?
Dude, there was a couple of things, and this was 3 years ago, that I had been following all year.
Okay.
And I thought, I'm going to wait for Black Friday. And I was making note of the price. And I was noticing that the price was slowly going
ticking up the whole time.
And then on Black Friday, they're like, it's a huge sale, and it went back down to the original price that I had seen it at. And I was like, oh, no. So I don't know if that's what they do with everything. Everybody does that. But as soon as I see a scam, I'm just like, I don't even want to participate.
That gave you enough of the impression of what they were doing?
This is gross. I was like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that. So I'll just sit and I'll watch. But it looks like with board games, if you don't jump on them right away, the price, especially with a lot of these Kickstarter exclusive things, the price just continues to go up no matter what.
For Kickstarter stuff, for sure. But there aren't many deals on Kickstarter stuff anyway. So I've now bled this yellow helmet down into the body.
Uh-oh.
So that's looking good. So I'm trying to go back in with a brush that doesn't have any paint on it and clean that up a little bit. like, using some water and trying to pull away some of that excess paint that got down there before it dries.
What's the difference between your paints here? I got this Citadel shade. I got...
So a shade's going to be a very thin paint already.
Okay.
It's meant to go into those crevices.
It's like a wash, kind of?
Like a wash.
This is dry.
Your dry is going to be a dry brushing paint.
And this is a base.
And a base is going to be a thicker paint made to cover up stuff.
Gotcha.
Dry brushing is one of those techniques that you can do where you use a bristly brush like these guys, get it as exhausted of paint as possible, and then go back over
That'll
it.
do like highlights and stuff.
I really don't like the color of this yellow. So I think I'm going to try to find a bit of a different... I like a bright kind of emergency yellow.
Oh.
Way more than this... What is this called? A moon yellow. I don't like the moon yellow very much.
So I might... something that's more like not a metallic gold, but like a yellow gold, like a DeWalt yellow.
So I think that's what this might be.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's exactly what I was looking for as well, actually. So let me stick... These Citadel paints are pretty old, so I just got some ball bearings. So let me stick a couple ball bearings in here, shake it up good.
Nice.
And then I'll grab a dab off of this. You can grab a dab off of this.
All right. Oh, wait, I'm going to need like a... I want a thinner brush here. I want something real tiny.
Some details.
Yeah.
What are you liking how the blue's coming out so far?
I mean, I guess it. From my perspective, it just looks sloppy and. But I don't know. Like maybe as I work on it more, it'll start to look better. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of think that's part of it too. Though, is there's always a point in miniature painting or any art where you really don't like what you're doing.
Right.
And then you keep working on it, and you get to a point where you're pretty satisfied with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you have one of two options: keep going, and hit a point where you either love it or completely hate it. You've either ruined it or perfected it, or stop and you're moderately happy with everything that you've done up to this point. I normally do the latter. I normally go after the perfection and ruin it along the way. So my runny paint has really sunk down into the side of this model now.
Oh, no.
I am failing into one of the traps of model painting, which is the paint's maybe a little bit too runny, and I am going to have to go back over some of these areas with purple to pull back how yellow it got. Although these yellows could be used for a little bit of a highlight layer.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Oh, hey, I did it.
You added some little details?
I wanted his goggles to be gold like it is on the box art. Okay. So, and then I've seen people do like a kind of glow effect, but I'm not really sure how to do that, and I'm scared.
So they find a source, like a light source, and then they start creating reflections and highlights. And light is usually, the farther it gets away, the more it'll spill.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand those concepts. I'm saying, like, I don't know the brush technique to make that happen. I'm scared to...
Don't be scared.
I'm scared to...
There's just thousands of people that wish they could paint these models.
Are there?
I mean, they're...
So is this game going to be pretty big, do you think?
It's already raised millions.
Already?
It's already raised millions.
Wow.
Yeah, thousands of people are backing this.
So that's crazy, because, like, whenever I watch... people talking about making board games, they're like, you won't make any money. You'll get nothing out of it. You're going to be like eating ramen for the rest of your life.
100%. 100%. I am one of those people that talk like that.
But what is it about? These guys are just so well established that everybody trusts their games. And
they started like everybody else. But in any entrepreneurial thing, you have those people that do very well, right? You have those people that succeed. Awaken Realms is one of those companies that has time and time again put out a good product, a good game, great artwork. They've clicked. And so now they have an audience that is built around that. And they have some major companies that are built around that. They own one of the GameFound, where they run their project, is one of the leading Kickstarter competitors, if not the leading Kickstarter competitor. And so they have definitely taken the mantle away from some other big players in the industry.
Okay.
However, most people who get into this hobby and try to make a board game because they love board games or they have a really cool idea, most people do not succeed.
So you're talking about like kind of beginners, people who are
But
like, I have a good idea, I want to try this.
But everyone in the hobby is beginner. Our hobby is so niche and so small that the people who succeed are few and far between.
Gotcha.
And the people who are who fail are numerous. And that's the thing that's hard. That's the struggle. So I'm going in with a thicker paint now because I didn't like how it was all running down the side of my model. If you have any advice or tips on how you can do a thin paint without it pouring over the side of your model, let me know. Because I don't know how to deal with that.
Just don't make it as thin, right?
Excuse you. These things you say to me.
Such things you say.
But no, I think it's like any entrepreneurial profession. The difference is that the audience doesn't see it as an entrepreneurial profession. The audience has almost no context for how many people are sending games out of their garage,
right, and
struggling to cover the cost of the game while working a separate other job. The audience has no concept of that because it's all on Kickstarter. So they all see these publishers raise $500,000, and they don't realize this is still an operation where they're sending out,
That might just cover cost of making it, production cost, not to mention like the cost of living and working on this thing.
No, I mean I know so many people who if you gave an abstract fan their numbers, they would say they've been successful, and if you go and actually ask the publisher, they've maybe paid themselves $10,000 a year for the work they did. Like, that is more common than not.
Wow, that's not a living wage.
No, not at all. But they are pursuing a dream. And sometimes having their game created is a fulfillment of that dream. Sometimes they're well off enough that that's okay. Sometimes the third or fourth game or the third or fourth project is where they make a living. Anything entrepreneurial is risky. So I don't think the risk is illogical. I just think our community has very little context or sympathy for the degree to which people are risking to make something work. So there's a disconnect. Where I think if you see like a first-time published author, you're not under the impression that this person is full-time or successful. You're like, congratulations, you might make $5,000 on your book that you spent 4 years writing. Like, great. Or if it's, hits New York Times, you might make $20,000. Like,
Yeah. Do you have like a white?
A white. Let me find a white for you.
Wait, I got one right here.
What do you think? Take a look at this so far. Tell me what I'm missing, what I should be doing. And what color do you think that tube should be?
I mean, I would do it like a dark blue-gray, but... your yellow is leaking down on you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Wow, thanks, man.
Yeah, I would do this like a dark blue-gray. I don't know, like... I feel like my approach here is going to be get my base colors on.
Yeah.
And then start working on highlights and maybe more shadows and color variations and stuff like that. So if this was me, I would just keep going with like some large base. Should I put a bullet in this thing?
Bearing? For those I find it really helps.
Okay.
Get 1 or 2 ball bearings in them.
1 or 2.
I do like this yellow a lot more.
That yellow?
Yeah, I'm much happier with this yellow.
It's working.
All right. Well, let's keep moving forward. You think like a blue,
blue-gray, gray-blue, mostly like a dark gray, but with like a blue tint. Because then I think you could go in and do like blue highlights.
I've got like a scurvy green here that I think I'm going to try to mix with a little bit of your blue.
I think I might need some clean water. I don't know.
Let's see what that creates. Maybe a little bit of a black wash in here too to thin it out. We're just doing stuff, people.
Yeah. Screwing around. So, you said these guys are Awaken Realms, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. Big successful publisher.
And CMON is another one that seems like they're pretty big.
CMON might be the biggest crowdfunding company in the industry.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
And that's where your favorite game comes from.
Yeah.
They're not the biggest board game producer. That'd be like Hasbro or some of these, reprint Monopoly 27 times type of companies. But when it comes to crowdfunding specifically, it's probably CMON first, then Awaken Realms next after that. Although, I don't have the data on how much Awaken Realms is making from their various business ventures.
I was just curious, like, what are the guys that, are huge? Who makes the big stuff? Who makes the most games? I don't know anything about this industry, so it's kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah, you've got Awaken Realms and CMON. You've got Lucky Duck, which makes a lot of like smaller games. There's a lot of other people are immediately middle after that. Stonemaier is a very successful, but they don't do crowdfunding anymore. They were kind of born. They're a company that was born on crowdfunding. Yeah. And then left it and built their own kind of email lists and stuff, which was very smart of them to do, I think.
What kind of games would you say are the most popular?
On crowdfunding platforms specifically, giant big box campaign-based miniature games, lifestyle-style games, are very, very popular. Because you can only really get them through those type of platforms.
I see.
When it comes to actual numbers of sales, small box family games
that makes sense.
Probably do the best.
That makes sense to me.
So if you're going to be going direct to retail, that's the type of game you'll want to be putting out.
Small, fast, approachable.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense to me. That was the only kind of games I was familiar with. Like when we started hanging out,
we started playing like Firefly and stuff together.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so Firefly was probably the biggest board game next to. I don't know. It's hard for me to categorize BattleTech as a board game, which was pretty much the only other thing I played that was kind of like that. Ooh.
All right. Now that I'm on the base, I've switched over to my little. This is one of those things, Mike, that when you start painting, you'll probably want to purchase. Mm-hmm. A model holder.
Oh, okay.
Helps you be a lot more steady.
Gotcha.
And get around without painting your fingers, which I have successfully done. Because when you have details and things that are tucked behind corners and stuff, it can be really hard to get the right angle to get in there and paint everything.
Ooh. I like this. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
What'd you find?
It's Newland oil. It's sort of like a really grimy dark green.
Okay. It's also going to be very thin, I think, too, right?
Yeah. I kind of like the thin because it feels like it's not as permanent.
Consequential?
Yeah, like, with that yellow that I was just using, it was like, oh man, if I screw up with this, it's just
like the yellow's there.
Yeah, then I got to go back through and try to cover it up, and I don't know how that's going to look. So yeah, this is super thin. Okay, so
yeah, it's meant to be an oil. It's meant to look like it's grimy and greasy and sinking into the corners of the model.
Shade. So shade is going to be like a real thin.
Very thin.
Oh, it's shade to add shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Now I'm embarrassed that it took me that long to figure that out.
Okay, I'm at the point where I want to add a little bit of color to the cat. And then I have a lot of my base colors down. I don't know that the model looks better than it did. I'm not to the point of saying that I'm successfully painting anything. But I'm at least trying. I'm at least doing something. Yeah, I'm not convinced that. I'm
so what?
Adding much.
How long do you think it'll be before you'll feel comfortable painting your KDM models?
So I've already painted some. Like I started there, but I had to own a second copy of Kingdom Death before I ever painted my primary copy of it. I don't know, man.
You have a secondary copy of Kingdom Death?
Yeah.
Dude.
I have a secondary copy of almost everything for Kingdom Death, I think.
Isn't that like a $500 game or something?
Yeah.
Because I looked at it because you're so hardcore about it. I was like, maybe I would like maybe if
They
I got it,
they just had a sale for Black Friday where for $1,000 you could get all of the current expansions available.
Yikes!
That was their deal, and that was off of a $1,800 base price tag.
Dude. Wow.
Yeah, it's an intense.
That's an investment.
That's a lifestyle game.
Yeah, now that you've explained what a lifestyle game is to me, I definitely would put it in that category for sure. How long is a typical... Like when you sit down to play KDM, I know you can play it for months if you wanted to.
About 2.5 hours per session.
What would you say, like, if you were going to play a game, what's about the longest you want to sit down and play a game for?
A good thinky Euro, maybe 2 to 3 hours.
What's a Euro?
Abstract, mathematical, puzzly.
Okay.
In your average game, I mean, your 2 hours is about a good hit. Okay. Hour to 2 hours.
All right.
But it depends on the type of game. The better the game is, the more it can justify hanging around a little bit.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, when I look at some of these dungeon crawlers, like MD2 and stuff, I think about... I guess I kind of immediately want to compare them to Dungeons and Dragons, even though they're not anywhere near as in-depth and complex and, scalable or flexible. But it's kind of where I go, and I think, like, God, you could play Dungeons and Dragons
forever.
Yeah, like one session could go on for hours.
I'm stealing your oil.
No worries, and nobody would complain.
Yeah,
you get lost playing something like that. But then I think, like, when you have these games that are, I think it's the. Oh, jeez, that one was really stuck in there. Oh, there's a blue.
So I'm going in here with this oil and just lathering it onto this tube.
Lathering.
Because you said it should be like a dark...
So that oil is green. This one's a dark blue kind of oil.
I'm just trying to get all of these cool creases and stuff on this tube.
I like this.
Really, really sunk in there.
Yeah?
Yeah. But you were saying you compare a lot of things to KDM
a lot of things to Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, to D&D.
Yeah. Any of these games that I think, like, okay... like when I play some of the campaigns for Massive Darkness, I don't know if it's because I take too much time thinking about what I'm supposed to be doing, but it feels like it goes on longer than 2 hours sometimes. And I think that's another part of it that I'm like, I don't know if I... sometimes I really like the game, and then other times I'm like, And I think it's usually when it goes on too long that... kind of lose that what's the word I'm looking for? That instant kind of satisfaction, feeling that you get when you roll a perfect roll and wipe out like a whole bunch of monsters all at once, and you're just like, yeah.
So another thing that this oil does, so I kind of coated it all over this tube.
Yeah.
But if I rub it on this helmet too, it'll kind of dirty up this helmet. It'll make it look like it's a little grungy and been through some stuff, which I don't know if that's the look I want to do with this cat, but I'm playing around with it.
I'm noticing that right now as I mess around with this guy.
If you want it to look dirty, that's great. If you want to preserve the clean, polished look, maybe not so good. But making things look grungy and dirty might be one of the easiest ways to make it look better.
Better?
Yeah, because then your mistakes are forgivable. Whereas if you, if you're painting and trying to be clean and precise and make it look polished, you got to be really on point, because then your mistakes stand out really, really well.
I can see that.
I don't know what to do with this face at the moment. I've got a little bit of the cat, look in there, but I don't know if I want to try to paint whiskers or really add anything to this. This is where we are at the moment. I should probably get a dark black down here on the bottom.
So yeah, I guess the part that I think I really want to learn is how to do the glows and the shadows and the highlights. I feel like that's what's going to make all the difference in the world when you're painting these things. Like getting a base coat of color and figuring out, like, I want this to be this color and this to be this color. I feel like that's not that hard from what I'm doing here. But when it comes down to, like, where's the light source and where's the shadow, and how do I actually make that look like a source of light? I think
all those dynamics.
Yeah, man. I think that's where it's at. So I would love to see some techniques on, like, well, how do you actually do that? How do you blend and stuff with this?
Yeah, I think this part is the first part of the process.
Yeah.
Just putting paint on a model.
Yeah. Oh, so that's what I would like to.
And then from there, we start leveling up, right? I don't know how much paint you need to put on how many models before you start figuring it out. But one of the things I want to do is I want to start, we start here, and then the next series I do, I'm taking something that I've learned here and apply, I've done some research and I'm applying some new skill, some new theory. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people, like I said, there's a lot of people that are going to be way better at this than I am, but all those people are kind of already there. And I think it's interesting to, to sit down with someone who needs to paint too and have them turn on the video and listen and chat and work on their own models and figure out the mistakes. Like right now, I can already tell you, my imagination is not getting to where I want this model to be.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the trick with all art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like getting what you have in your head to come out on the paper, or at least be a good start for it.
But now I need to go down, I need to do some research on what colors are, look good, what colors are complementary, and which a little bit more about, and how to build out highlights and how to do fur. Because the fur right now is the thing that I'm the most maybe disappointed by, but also the most intimidated by. I have no idea. I just did a skin tone, but I want to make it more speckled. I want to make it.
Well, wouldn't that be where your dry brush comes in?
It could be. That's a very good point.
So you would do okay, what color is your fur? Your fur would be orange. So then you would find a brown or a darker brown, and that would be your wash. And then you would find a light beige, and then you would do your dry brush.
And maybe the dry brush would look a little bit more.
And those would be your highlights.
Fur-like in a way.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a singular tone fur or a singular tone skin or anything like that. When you really analyze people, we have, there's all kinds of different colors in our skin depending on, so it's kind of at least when you're texturing models and stuff like that, which is what I used to do a lot for 3D, is you don't want that skin tone to be just one tone. That's where you get the uncanny valley, and it looks weird.
You want me to swap out your water?
Oh, I would love it.
Okay, because I'm gonna switch over to start doing a little bit of just some spot highlights on this.
You're done with your cat?
I'm not, but I'm gonna let it dry.
Oh, okay.
I mean, take a look at what the fur I'm very disappointed with, but take a look at where I am and let me know what you think.
No, I think it's a good start.
All right, I'll be right back with some more water.
I think you should put more purple back on the kitty suit.
Okay.
But I like where you're going with the fur. I would say that that's a start. And then, how much texture is on the fur?
Not much on the model itself. Yeah.
And then, I think if you dry brushed this hose with a little bit of just a slightly lighter greenish blue, I think you would get some cool highlights on there. I think so. In my experience with art, understanding color is obviously really important, and understanding how light works is really important. But whenever you're working in any kind of medium, what I always look for is old pros that are willing to give up their techniques.
Sure.
Because that's where it's kind of at, man. Is
which I'm not willing to do that yet. So
you're not willing to give up your techniques.
I'm not there yet. Yeah, yeah.
That's, because like they'll say like, well, here's how you would get, this kind of a look. And you would use this brush and you would kind of feather it this way, et cetera, et cetera. And then that's where, okay, so I just got to practice doing that.
So I don't want to add a lot of paint to this model.
Right.
I think I want to take one color and just build up highlights and layers of that color.
Cool.
I think that's the thought. Because trying to paint this whole thing, that feels intimidating. But if I can imagine maybe a light source coming at an angle here.
Yeah.
Like a green bulb.
Okay.
Or, let me ask you this. Should I do a light source from the top here? Or should I make these little egg things bright and have them shining up?
Ooh, that'd be cool.
What do you think? You think
like
that?
Glowing eggs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think make those polyps
I think
shine through?
I think underlight in like horror and alien kind
Stands
of stuff
out better too?
Yeah, I think it looks cooler.
Alright, let's do that. So I'm gonna start adding paint to our queen figure here, which this might be the biggest, riskiest mistake of the video. As far as most people's opinions are concerned. Because this is the model. This is the showcase model. This is the one that, if anyone was going to have a model from this set, this is the one.
Do we have a dark gray?
Dark gray.
Yeah.
I bet we do.
Slate, or maybe just like a slate gray and some black.
Let's see here.
What do you got here?
Smoky ink.
Lead Belcher. So is this one going to be metallic?
Here's a black. Here's a bone white for highlights.
Okay. I can work with that. That's all I need.
Oh, here's a...
yeah, I got this.
A Abaddon black.
All right. Do you have a favorite...
color?
No, a favorite
what?
brand of paint?
I don't like the Citadel very much. I actually really like the game color.
Okay.
These are the paints that I'm the most familiar with, though. And out of the two of them, I think the game color and the type of bottles they have has lasted a lot better.
All right.
The Citadel paint, I think, dries up if you don't fully seal it, and I find it a little bit more annoying to use.
Gotcha.
It's a very beloved... I mean, a lot of people love the Citadel paints, though, I think.
Have you tried any of those, the Army... I think they're called something Army speed paints?
I haven't, no.
No?
That would be a very interesting video.
I was watching people painting Warhammer models, doing something called the slap. I want to say slap chop, but that's anyway. It's like a slap method where you just real quick get your models prepped for a game.
Okay.
And you're able to just race through a whole bunch of models
so quick,
and they look good. They come out looking good, and it's this slap method. And I thought, and then every time I see people use them, they have this kind of matte look that I really like. Instead of being all glossy.
There is matte mixtures that you can put into your paints, too, to make any paint a little bit more matte.
Yeah, I would like to mess around with that. Because I also think like the texture and the way that... like a mixing gloss and then some matte together, I think would look really cool. A little bit.
All right, I'm working on these eggs here. So I've got some bulbous eggs down here. Now, making them bright is a puzzle into of itself.
Is it?
I might need to take some of that white and bring out...
What color are you trying to make them be?
So this kind of green, black, turquoise mix that I did for the piping on that cat, that's what I'm trying to put into them.
But you want them to look like they're glowing?
Yeah, kind of.
So then you would move more towards the turquoise?
Yeah, with a little bit of white mixed in, I think, right?
Well, it depends on what kind of a glow you're looking for. So like when you're doing fire...
Okay.
You'll start with like a dark red, move into an orange, and then into a yellow.
Okay.
You don't just add white to it, because that's not...
So maybe jade?
Yeah, so you would be looking at in the similar hue, but just like brighter level. But level insinuates that you're just adding white, so... But yeah, that's... And then it's the same. Like I've painted like a green magic flame would be the same thing. I would go from like a dark green to like a neon green, but then my highlights are usually yellow, and then the very brightest highlight would
is
be
that
white.
blown out white.
Yeah, because that's where it's blown out, and the
Camera can't
exactly
catch it. Yeah. I find that I've really liked the medium that I've liked the most recently has been colored pencils.
Oh yeah.
But good quality colored pencils that allow you to blend.
Yeah, man.
Really enjoyed. I do flowers with them. I've really enjoyed that.
Just drawing flowers?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I like flowers, man.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So I've got these eggs. They're not quite glowing, but they're a little bit brighter. Let's now bring this color up to where I think these eggs would be reflecting onto. So there, I just want to bring them as a source and look at like what's in the line of fire. And I'm just going to do kind of a thin wash of glow across those parts of the model.
Cool. I'm trying to make this gun gray, and then I think I'm going to start
Oh, I see that.
painting some of the architecture, the mechanics on this guy gray. Try to get a little bit more variation, even though I don't want him to be too... I don't want him to be too colorful.
You want to have those pops.
Yeah. I want the little bits here and there to be highlights, but not too much. Ooh, this is hard.
What is?
Just doing these tiny little details. As soon as you showed me these guys, I was like, man, this is going to be like this. These are tiny. But I tell you what, man, now when you see people paint these and they come out good.
Yeah, because you know, crap. And they're taking, macro photos of these things.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know how you could even see well enough to get in there.
I mean, I got readers on. I feel like you need
So I have a magnifying set.
Do you?
Yeah, for sure.
And then you need like surgeon hands.
I do have very steady hands.
I don't know if I do.
Photography's done well for me.
Oh yeah,
because of
you
that.
know what? Yeah, probably got pretty steady hands because of the photography. I don't know if I have this level of steady hands though.
No. You might. It's one of those things where you learn it too, though. And if you had something like this, where you could use your thumb to brace it, you want to try to use this? You want to pull my model off?
No, man.
Because that will change how steady you can be as well.
Really?
A big part of it's on holding. Yeah, how you're actually able to get position and leverage on the stuff that you're painting.
Water. This is too thick. So is that like a pretty common technique to just like water these down quite a bit?
Yeah.
They are really thick. So that's probably why it's such a small bottle, because you can
go
water
a long
it
way
down
with
and
a
then
little
get
bit.
a lot more out of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's making more sense.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Do you ever? Does anybody ever use like acetone and stuff like that to thin them out even more? Or
they have paint thinners that you can purchase and use. I'm sure people use a wide variety of stuff like acetone. Mm-hmm. I don't know specifically what the most common thing is.
Wow. Yeah, I think mine is just looking messy.
Messy? What do you mean?
Like it doesn't look like I'm adding detail to it. It just looks like I'm slopping paint on it. I'll get there. That's the part of the process, right? You just keep going until it looks good.
I think that's it. I think just part of the process is painting. Which is why this morning I was like, let's get a painting video out. What are we going to do? I don't know. We're going to do the thing that everyone starts with.
Yeah.
We're going to put some paint on a model.
That's what you do with drawing.
And then from there, we'll learn what we're good at, what we're not good at, and what we need to research.
You just render it out.
Turns out, everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is where I am right now, trying to get some of that glow up onto the body.
Okay.
Just trying.
Okay, I see where you're going.
It's building. It's definitely, you know.
Yeah, I feel like, well, for sure when you want to do glow, it's definitely layers. 100%. I think for me, the learning curve here is going to be learning how to use these brushes better.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Just getting more precise with them? Or?
Yeah, because I'm... and then understanding these paints and how they go on. Because I feel like that's another part where I'm definitely lacking. Because I don't get it. I do like when it's thinner. I feel like if it's thin, it's okay for me to layer more. Because I'm not having this thick, chunky, you know what I mean? Like, as you add more layers, the paint just looks thick and overdone.
That is a big part. So thinning your model so that the details don't get covered up as you do layer and layer of paint.
Yeah.
Is for sure part of the skill set.
So I want that little guy to be a different color. I think I'm going to make these little tubes on his arms glow. I'm going to try my hand at a little glow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I get there.
And you might want to switch to a tinier brush too. I don't know how small your brush is, but
it's a number 2.
You know, we've got tiny little pipsqueak brushes over here.
All right. I'll give those a try.
So I'm using some of this, what I was considering kind of my highlight color now, to go through where I think this egg or polyp is hitting with the most color.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to kind of layer it up
do
a little bit.
Do you follow any painters? Any miniature painters?
So Skidmar.
Okay.
Is a painter that I don't follow them by name as well though.
Gotcha.
I follow a lot of crafters, people that are doing interesting artistic projects, but not necessarily miniature painting. So I would love to know if people are still watching. I would love to know what people recommend in terms of awesome miniature painters out there. I hope I get my expander out this week.
Oh, is it already time for it to come out?
The expander is either 1 or 2 appointments away.
Nice.
The braces are, still years away. But the expander is the thing that makes me lisp all the time.
Does that drive you crazy?
Yeah, man.
So, what was the rationale behind getting your expander and your braces? Are your teeth really that bad?
I've got crooked teeth, and they're hard to keep. They're hard to keep well clean because they overlap. And my dentist, who's my wife's brother, is a dentist. Right. He was basically like, "Yeah, man, listen. As you get older, you're from Kentucky. You already have problems with your teeth.
He's like, you're from Kentucky, so you got bad teeth."
He went to school at UK. And there's a reason why some of the best dental schools are in Kentucky.
What, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, UK is one of the best dental schools in the nation, and that's because you have a population of people to experiment on. Because they all need dental help. And so he was saying, basically, if you wanna really take care of your teeth and try to get ahead of the problem as opposed to just always catching up, because I've spent years of my life always trying to catch up to the problem and dealing with it when I have an infection or when I have a cavity. He's like, if you want to get ahead of it now, the way that you do that is you get braces and you make it so you can take care of them.
Fix your teeth.
And I need to get some implants. I've got a few teeth that have been pulled, and he said, if you're going to get implants, get braces first, because you can't shift an implant.
Oh.
You can shift, braces you can shift.
Okay.
You can't shift an implant.
Interesting.
So it's part of the process towards
having a healthier mouth.
Having a healthy mouth, hopefully, and then when I have kids, I'll tell them that I've suffered greatly and that they should learn from my mistakes.
Oh man, you're gonna have those great back in my day.
Absolutely.
You wouldn't be able to handle what we went through.
You can't appreciate the suffering I've been through.
Suffering.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the concept. So yeah, did you ever have braces?
No, sir.
No.
I have a couple of crooked teeth, but they're not too bad. I wanted braces for my gap. Because I have this huge gap in my front teeth.
Yeah, but now it's cute. It's in now.
See, that's what everybody keeps saying, and I don't know if I agree with that. But maybe it's just because I've always hated them, Yeah. Oh, man, maybe I do need a thinner brush. I always wanted to get that fixed. Because I remember the very first time kids ever laughed at my gap, I was getting I'm going to give away how old I am.
72!
It's one of the first digital cameras, and we had this, what's called a dot matrix printer.
Okay.
All right, and that printer just basically, it worked kind of the same way that new printers work. It would apply a dot of color, but they were big dots of color. So we would all sit down in front of this guy who was showing us the new camera, and he would take our picture, and then it would print out on the printer, and we would get this dot matrix print of our photo that was taken with a digital camera. And, everybody had to smile. But you have to remember, this thing is just black and white, and they're big dots.
Okay.
So wherever something is white, there's just no print, and wherever something is dark, there's a big black dot. So I take this picture. Do you know who Alfred E. Newman is? You ever seen Mad Magazine?
Yeah.
So the goofy guy with the big gap in the...
Yeah.
So this thing comes out, and my gap is just this big black line in the middle of my mouth, and I looked like Alfred E. Newman in the print.
Sure.
Everybody started laughing.
It was just mortifying.
And I was like, no. I think I ran home, and I was like, I need braces. My mom was like, we can't afford braces. I was like, my mom, please.
Kids are the worst.
But then it was funny because people started telling me they liked my gap, and I'd have girls come up and they'd be like, I think it's cute, and you're at first you're just like, whatever, you're just trying to make me feel better, but and eventually you have enough people say it, and you're like, oh, okay, I don't know, maybe I won't get it fixed.
Do you think, as an adult, did you think about getting braces?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I still think about it sometimes. I'll look in the mirror and I'll smile and I'll be like, ugh, I should get braces.
You think you will ever? Or?
No, I don't think I will.
No.
I think it's also important to kind of, in some situations, to try to learn to kind of be happy with yourself,
Yeah,
especially when it comes to, minor cosmetics.
I wouldn't have gotten them if it wasn't the advice of the dentist for healthcare.
Well, if somebody
if it was
told
just
me
aesthetic, I would never have gotten braces.
If somebody told me,
I'm already married,
Oh.
I don't need to be handsome anymore.
Yes, you do. But if somebody had told me, hey, Mike, if we don't get these braces on, you're going to have serious problems, then, 1,000%.
See, and for me, it was, hey, we have serious problems. Here's how we can maybe fix some of them. Well, I was already at the serious problem stage.
Yeah.
The most pain I've experienced throughout my life has been in relation to my teeth, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The most pain?
The single most pain I've...
What was it, an infection, or...?
So I had an infection underneath a crown that had failed that needed to be extracted. Ooh. So I basically had a tooth extracted without pain medication, essentially. I got up from I was crying while holding my mouth open. Oh. I was crying while they were leveraging and pulling. And I got up from the table and I was making jokes and paying while sobbing, shaking and sobbing, because the trauma was catching up to my body. My body didn't, mentally I was okay. I knew what needed to be done. I knew I had to hold my mouth open. I knew it was going to hurt and there was no way around it. So I did it.
Yeah.
But my body was left traumatized and had to find a way to express some of that trauma, some of that physical torture.
So you laugh.
So I cried. I was bawling.
Oh, okay.
I was laughing. I was laughing at the same time that I was shaking and crying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
rough. I laugh now, and it freaks my kid out. But there was one time when I had put my pan in the oven to cook. I can't even remember what I was cooking. And I pulled it out with the oven mitt on, and I set it down, and I was talking to my kid, and I turned around, and I grabbed the handle. And it was still, 350 degrees hot.
Yeah.
And it just, the whole inside of my palm immediately blistered, and I pulled my hand back, and I just started laughing. And my kid goes, Dad, did you burn yourself? And I was like, yeah, I sure did. And she's like, why are you laughing? And I was like, because I don't know what else to do. I guess I could scream or something, but that's not going to help. So
yeah,
I just started laughing, and then, ran my hand under cold water and all that good stuff. So that's the most painful injury you've ever had?
Yeah.
Having a tooth pulled without any kind of anesthetic, I can see how that would hurt.
It was rough. It was it was really hurt.
I can imagine.
Really hurt.
It's funny because, like,
I've never broken a bone or anything, so
Really?
I can't compare it. I can't compare it now.
Oh, I've broken lots of bones. I've broken my thumb, my wrist, two of my fingers, my ankle, one of my toes,
just everything.
And my shoulder blade. Yeah, my shoulder blade.
So I think I'm about at the end of experimenting for now. I'm going to go back to that cat and just finish up a little bit there with some color. But take a look at. I was trying to get some glow here. I put some stuff on the horns. Take a look at where it is, and
I like it. I like that you didn't do too much. Maybe that's what's wrong with what I'm doing here.
I tried to just add some. I tried to build up a little bit. I didn't feel like I had the time or patience to do too much. I'm going to go back and get some more purple added to this cat.
I think I'm good with the gray. Now I need to go back in and add some shading.
Purple's all dry, so let's grab some purple. Light blue, violet. And then I'm about good on this video. I think we've learned a little bit. I think we've got some paint to a model.
I think you should speak for yourself. I don't feel like I learned much, and I think I ruined a model. But I will say that this is actually really fun. I really do like this a lot. I like doing this. I don't know.
I've always found it to be really peaceful.
Man, yeah.
Put on an audiobook, put on a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Put on a video of some other idiots painting models.
So I think that's what I need as I'm getting started. I need some references and like to watch some other people and just go through and do it so I can get a better understanding. Although I would say this process is kind of fun. This just sort of trying to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, just messing.
Yeah, messing around. Something to be said about that.
I'm adding some more of this purple that you recommended I bring back.
Yeah.
To life. I would love to do a highlight, but I don't know that I'm...
Well, isn't that where your dry brush comes in, man? Uh-oh.
I hear something cooking.
Yep. Well, that's my bolognese.
Dry brushing could come in to add some highlights, but also just very fine-tuned, detailed highlighting could be this. Like bringing in some lights and some brights. What you hear in the background is some delicious bolognese being...
I don't know if it's delicious anymore.
What happened? Did it overcook?
Yeah, it might have overcooked a little bit.
Is it burn on the bottom?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Oh no!
I'm trying to save it.
You got too much water out of it.
Yeah. Oh. Where it is.
Oh. Alright, a little bit more yellow on this helmet. Bring back some of those highlights from that dark oily wash that I put down.
Almost like the primaries on the kitty cat.
Yeah, I originally wanted to make the kitty cat really bright, but You know, with insecurity comes mistakes.
Yeah.
And I wanted to play around with the oil. I wanted to see how it would change the model a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. Alright, that's not a little bit more water back in.
Alright. This is where we are, people. This is the progress we've been able to make. Still lots of work that needs to be done. We have the queen here with a little bit of a glow coming up from the bottom. I think the queen, I like a little bit of color added to the queen. I think that'll look nice on camera. I would love more, but I don't know how to do more. No, man, your guys are looking good. You need a little bit of a smaller brush, and then you need to just dial in more of these details. Your guy is so detailed, though. That's the thing that you're dealing with. You got a lot of stuff to work with.
Yeah, and I have no experience.
You're just a couple hours of getting every little tiny brush stroke in from from having it there. Whereas mine was much more of a blank slate.
Yeah, my next idea is now that I'm getting the mechanics grade, I'll go back in with a dark blue wash. I want to add maybe a dark brown to these little satchels in the front. And then I want to go through and I want to make some of these little tubes and stuff like a really bright blue. And then see if I can watch a video on how to create a glow effect. And then I'll go through and I think that's at the end I'll do the dry brushing. But just like a super light, you know. And I was thinking it'd be cool if I did almost a light turquoise up top and then almost a light violet down on the bottom, so it looks like there's different light sources on him.
Cool. I mean, I think coming from, gray to color, I like color.
It's fun.
I like color, I even think yours, when you set it next to where it was, you got some texture, you got some detail, you got some bright, lights in there. I like it. All right. Brighter. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. We're going to keep messing around on this channel, figuring out what we want to do and what type of content we want to make. This afternoon, I wanted to get some paint on a model, so we did it. If you've watched to this point, let us know what else you'd like to see in the future. And if you haven't watched to this point, you're not here, so it doesn't matter. We'll see you next time. Bye.